Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. If you are new to this channel, may this work be as deep benefit to you as it is and has been for me. And if you are coming back, welcome back. Welcome back. If you are getting a lot of benefit from this pondering video, then please hit the like button. That way I get to know what's really resonating with you and what you want to hear more of. If you're really resonating with the pondering topic, please, as I've said, send it off to a friend. What greater gift is there than to expose one of your loved ones, one of your friends to something that really has connected to you in a deep and transformational way? Healthy habits, self-care tools, stuff that's really connecting to you. I think is one of the best things about having relationships is that you're exposed to things that you didn't find on your own. And if you are loving it all, then please hit the subscribe button on the channel. And that way you'll get notified right away when a new video comes out and we can ponder almost in real time. Okay. So welcome. Today, I want to be careful about how we ponder because I don't want to add a bunch of fear into this. There is so much going on in the world right now that is sort of fear-based, sort of making you afraid you got to spend this money or afraid you got to go do this thing. And I don't want to add to that. But today is really super important, and I want to lean on you a little bit. I'm a coach, right? I'm a coach, and I'm leaning on you pretty heavy today because I want you to really think about this for yourself and make the changes that you need to in order to not have what I think is the most toxic, not the most, but one of the most toxic feelings, which is regret. That feeling of regret. It's like, oh, why was I with him? Or, why did I spend that? Or, oh, I wish I hadn't said or done that. Like that feeling is just so, oh, right? So toxic for us and doesn't really serve us in any way. Yet, sometimes it does get us to do things differently. So instead of dwelling in regret, if you find out in the ponder that, you could have done things differently or you wish, shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of thing, be careful you don't dwell in the regret, but that you let it give you the momentum to move forward. Okay. What the heck are we talking about? What are we talking about? I'm going to get real tech savvy with you today and share my screen. We're talking about bones, right? We're talking about bones. Now look at this normal bone, right? Normal bone. And then look at that osteoporotic bone, right? 80% of people who struggle with osteoporosis are women. So I am mainly talking to women today, okay? Mainly talking to women. Now, when you think about your bone health, it really is depending how you age with your bone health, how your bones were as you were younger, right? So your early life, your middle life, your older life. I'm going to read a couple things from my notes that I think are pretty important. As I said, out of 10 million Americans with osteoporosis, 80% are women. Okay. About 1 in 2 women over the age of 50, 1 in 2 women over the age of 50 will break a bone because of their osteoporosis. And in fact, a woman's risk of breaking her hip is equal to the combined risk of breast, uterine, and ovarian cancer. I want to read that again. A woman's risk of breaking a hip is equal to her combined risk of breast, uterine, and ovarian cancer. In fact, a woman can lose up to 20% of her bone density during the 5 to 7 years following menopause. So we're talking about getting older and bone health, but it's about the bone health as we go. So if you don't have a lot of strong bones earlier in your life because of your diet or smoking or drinking or fractures or those sorts of things, it will affect you in later life. This is where I'm talking about the regret. We can't go back and change things, but we can make a difference. A couple of other things I wanted to point out to you. One of the things that we talk about in the research that I've done is that there are 6 ways sort of to look at the way we move in our bones. Okay. So they call it the 6 F's: food, right? Your food, enough calcium, enough proteins, vegetables, all the things and maybe you could even talk to your doctor about it or even go online and do a little research for yourself. What kinds of foods? Broccoli and turnip greens and spinach and eggs and dairy and yogurt and cottage cheese and those sorts of things. Like, go look for yourself. Falls, obviously, are going to affect the bones. Previous fractures earlier in our life. frailty as we get older, forgetting our medication or our vitamins, and then factors like diseases that we might have. So again, food, falls, fractures in previous parts of your life, frailty, forgetting, and other factors. Okay. So here's what we're talking about today. We're talking about what can you do today to think about your bone health, right? What can you do today? Well, we know brisk walking, right? Using those walking muscles. We know that doing some sort of yoga or weight training, weight bearing exercises is going to improve your bone health. And I wanted to ask you and ponder with you, what are you doing? So instead of being afraid of like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this, what are you doing? So take a moment and think about that in terms of my health, in terms of my diet, in terms of my exercise, in terms of the way that I'm showing up in my skeleton. How am I taking care of my bones? Okay. That's the ponder. And if you are not feeling that you are doing all that you want to and all that you can, then what are you going to add? What are you going to add? Okay. So I've told you I've got 2 classes where I am bringing in weights in my Hatha class, Wednesdays at 12:15 Central, right? And then Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Central. These are online classes. We're doing a typical yoga class, a Hatha yoga class, but we are using small weights in our class so that we can practice some of this weight bearing, right? Weight bearing, building the strength of our bones. Not only does it build our bones, but it's going to reduce our falls or reduce our injuries. It's going to help us with our eye and hand coordination. It's going to help keep our joints nice and lubricated. And there's just so many wonderful things about it that I am bringing it in twice a week to my classes because I too want to worry and think about my bones, right? I want to take good care of my bones. So if you're interested in trying one of these classes, I do recommend it. They do say 2 to 3 times a week for these weight bearing activities. So that's why I have 2 classes. If you're not doing it with me, where are you doing it? You know, swimming is not weight bearing, right? It's got to be something where you're actually putting stress on the bones so that the bones are being developed. So I would like you to think about that in whatever walk of life you're in. Early life, you're building bones. Middle life, you're maintaining bones. And the end, elderly years, I hate saying elderly, but the older women life, you're building bones. You can build bones all the way through, right? All the way through. So please consider today's ponder. What am I already doing, right, to build healthy bones and to maintain my healthy bones in my diet, in my exercise, the way I'm showing up in my movements? And what could I add a little bit more of? What could I add a little bit more of? All right. You could use cans of soup, right? Cans of soup would even be, if you're brand new to all this weight training, you could do cans of soup. In my classes, we use 1 pound, 2 pound, 5 pound, 8 pound, whatever serves you best. And we are moving through functional movements, juicy functional movements to bring that body mind awareness in so that we can be building that strength. Okay. And then Fridays, I do a core class because to me, everything's about the core. All the way around the torso, including the pelvic floor, is giving us that grace and that stability and that ease as we move through our life, you know, from that center. So if this is a benefit to you, please jump on the yoga mat with me. It's not just so we look good in bathing suits, right? That's not what this is about. It's about getting to know who you are. It's about building vitality and stability and a sense of ease in our bodies and in our minds and in our spirits. And I have found that yoga really does that for me and many, 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 if not all of my students, because they keep coming back. And I'd love to offer it to you, whether it's my class or someone else's class or a YouTube video or just walking with your girlfriends. But thinking about your bone health is so crucially important. And what are you doing and what can you add in more? All right. I hope this work is of deep benefit to you as always. And I'll see you next time. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I mean you. Namaste.